Thank you. Take care. And off you go.
Okay, yeah, almost. Okay, good evening. This is going to be Introduction to Android Development, and we're going to look at this from a Android point of view as opposed to more of a Java point of view. My name is Edward Cerullo. I'm with Time and Date in Stavanger, Norway. We have a couple websites, timeanddate.no.com and .de. We do time and date calculations. We like things like the eclipse coming up on Friday. Anybody used our site? Okay, great, excellent. Jacob Lynch, he's an engineering student at Bellingham Technical College in Bellingham, Washington. It's his second time here at the camp, and we're working on this together. Okay? Hit it. Okay, AndroidStudio. It's also known as Android Development Studio. It's only been around for a few years, but the name has been through a little bit of a process. And when Google came out with this, they stated immediately, this is the official interactive development environment for Android. Before that, people could use whatever they had. There was an add-in to Eclipse. Everyone familiar with Eclipse? I've been using Eclipse for 20-some years, Eclipse, and then the paid version, which is IBM Rational Developer. And I mean, I don't know where things are. You know, if someone says do something, my fingers know where it is. If I have to figure something out in Eclipse, I actually have to look at it and go count icons. But my fingers know where to hit. It's because I've been using Eclipse so many years. But now we have this new product that Google says we will use, so we use it. Okay. It still is possible to use other IDEs, and using an interactive development environment, that's very personal. I mean, people have it customized exactly the way they want it, and some people refuse to switch to this. There was a large uproar when Google came out and said this is the official one, and people were like, why do we need an official one? This is open source. If you don't like it, go customize it. And they're like, well, but I want to use Eclipse, or I want to use this other product that I've been using for so many years. But okay, so if you have not already done so, you can install Android Studio from the certain link. It takes you all the way through, and it takes a couple times to actually update it to the current levels, because it'll tell you everything is up to date. Then a little box will pop up and say you have updates available. So you update them, and then it says everything is up to date. Then 3 seconds later, a little box pops up and says there are updates available. So you need to go through it about 3 times. It takes about an hour and a half to figure the whole thing out. Android Studio includes Java, which makes sense. You don't have to use Java, of course. You can use C++, and you can use this other language that is gaining more and more popularity. So there are other ways to do it, but overall Java is what people use for developing Android. And of course there's the Android Development Kit. That's all the tools you need to actually make things work. And Gradle. Anyone here use Gradle? Familiar with Gradle? Okay, Gradle's it's a development tool. It helps to build things. And there is Maven. Maven is a development tool, a build tool that works specifically for Java. So moving the two in together, it's pretty powerful. Okay, let's talk about what Android is. Android came from Google, as I mentioned, and it's Linux-based. Everybody like Linux? Right? Yes. Okay. We have the crowd goes wild, and there's also some other products: Android TV and Wave, Android TV, Android Auto. My car wasn't ready when we came to drive down here, and so my mechanic loaned me a Prius, and it has Android version 4 Jelly Bean in it. I was quite happy. I was like, wow, I got Google in my car. And the current version is called 8.1. It has a name Oreo. All of them have food names. There's been dessert names. Oreo cookies are very, very American. Careful. And there are issues with versioning that you have to be very careful about with Android. There are different levels for the different development kits, and sometimes when you get everything absolutely working and then it says, do you want to update? Say no. It takes things out of sync, and it could take you a couple hours to get them back in. Okay, Android programming. Let's talk about what programming is. We'll stick to Java for this. And what I want to show you is how to set up a demo application that's a little bit more than the classic Hello World. So I pulled something off of the Android website, and we're going to try and look at how it's constructed. Okay, the first thing you have to do is create an app. Everything Android is apps. And then within that app, apps consist of 4 different kinds of components. Their first one is an activity, and the other 3, 1, 2, 3, basically we're not going to cover right here. It would take a little bit too much to get into it. What we need to do to make a very basic app is to create some activities. But just be aware that there are different kinds of components on the Android apps. Okay? And then within... Do you want something? Okay, come in. Okay. Within the Android apps, we create something called an activity. Activity in JavaSpeak is a method, but they have to have their own name for it, so they call them activities. And they have sort of unique names. There are 7 activities that we're going to go over here, and I'll show you how they work together. The first one is onCreate. And what happens with onCreate is when you create an app, when you copy it out of memory and put it in so you can actually beat on it, that's when an app is created. It's a very specific time within the flow. The next one, on start, that's when after it's been created, the Android app starts up. And then on restart, let's say you let your phone time out, and then it needs to restart. Well, sometimes something needs to happen depending on what you're doing. If you're doing an app to rent a hotel room and there was only 2 minutes to actually rent that hotel room, well, when it restarts, maybe you're past that 2-minute point and you've lost that hotel room or the particular movie tickets or something like that. So it depends what happens. Start does not have to be the same as restart. Then the next one, on resume, there's a subtle difference between restart and resume. And I can show you where the documentation is on it. And then on pause, if you go into an app and actually hit the button and pause it, then it can restart again in a different way. So you have a couple different options on that. The next one, stop. The app comes to an end. You've done your movie reservation, you've done your hotel reservation, and you stop your app. And the next one, destroy, my personal favorite. You can go into Android's control and actually destroy an app. You can uninstall it, or you can stop it hard, and it can do things different ways that way. It can, if you write the app nicely, it'll clean up after itself. If you don't write the app nicely, then you can leave some files out there, leave some TSQs out there. Okay? Then I put this link in here. So you can actually go through and read in detail what all of the different ons are all about. They are just methods, but they're unique. And this shows you a little flow of how it works. Can I point? Okay. At the beginning, create, it creates. Start, it starts. Resume, pause, stopped, and destroyed. So it does make a little bit of a cycle. I'll let this sink in for a second. So these are the different kinds. Then This is the bigger flow. So this gets a little bit more complicated. One step more. You can see, can you read this? Is this clear enough? Not at all? Okay. I'll put this out there so you can read. It basically create, start, resume, pause, stop, destroy. Okay? And the other one's restart over here. So it's these the basic 7 ons. Create, start, resume. Restart comes in from the other side, and then on the other side, pause, stop, destroy. Most of the time, it'll just be running in the background. Anyone ever work with PLCs, programmable logic controllers? Okay, there the program just runs all the time, and you do something. You go into it, and you execute something. So it's the program is just sitting there looping. A traditional transaction process where you're paying your Visa card or something like that, where they sweep through a file of 10 godzillion transactions and they create for your account, your Visa card, and your transactions. Well, that's just a program that actually runs once. It starts up, it does its thing, and it ends. But the way Android programs work, it loops all the time. And the way it looks is, one more. Oh, shit. Okay, we're going to have to go look at it now. I thought I had one that showed what it actually looks like. So the way it works is these on, let's go back a little bit. Let's go back one more. That one's a better diagram. Now, can I split this screen somehow? Or okay, let's go over this, commit this to memory. It starts, create, start, resume, pause, stop, destroy. Okay? Create, start, resume, pause, stop, destroy. So now, come out of it and escape. Do it. Okay, close the... And still got this? Good. Okay, close that. And let's start up Android Development Studio. That, search for Android. And that's it. Oops, is this going to fall off the screen a bit? Takes a little bit to start up. We'll pause here. Pause for station identification. Okay. I'm here all week. Tip your waitresses. Okay. This is basic Android Studio. What we're going to do is we're going to open an existing Android, the second one. I've got one out there already. Okay. And go into temp here. Up. You can't see where I'm pointing, can you? Yeah, go into temp and that one, activity lifecycle, and the bottom one, activity. Yeah. And just double click on that one. Or actually go up to this one. Go up to the green one. Go up to the green one there and just click on it and click OK. Okay, this will take a second to load in. And ta-da! This is Android Studio. In some ways, it does look like other IDEs. I mean, and in some ways, it looks a lot like Eclipse. And they've taken some trouble. I mean, to run it, it used to be Eclipse was just F11. Now you have to do a Control-Alt F11. And to run it in debug, you had to do a Shift F11. Now you have to do a Control-Alt Shift F11. So they've taken a little bit of care to actually split it out. Can we see a little bit more of this? It's hot. Okay. Yeah, click there. Second one. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work. And move it a little to the right. Well, that's even big enough. Okay, do it again. Now just move it to the right. Yeah. Yeah, that works. Okay. All right. This is a... Now I need to... Sorry, I wasn't quite prepared for this. Can you pause for a second? Okay. Don't have that capability, huh? Okay. Oh. Okay. Thought I had one more slide. I was going to be prepared, and it didn't quite. No, no, don't do that. No. No. My notes have gone away. Go into this, please. And documentation. And down at the bottom. Yeah. That first note. One more. The camp, yeah. I'm afraid my notes are gone. This is quite embarrassing. Well, all right. I don't know where this went. We'll go over this. Go back to the app. Just close that thing. I know this stuff real well. Okay, what this does, we've created a number of activities, which are they're individual Java programs that are brought together. So let's open the first one here, Activity A, double click on that. Yeah. And here, I'm page down a little bit. The page up a little bit. A little bit more. A little bit more. That's great. Okay, click the plus here next to import. There. This is pretty standard Java. The package at the top, the imports that you're going to bring in. Now let's page down a little bit. And okay. Here, recognize this, on create, this is an override. So this program that's running in the background, it has an on create already in there, but it's blank. So what this tells it to do is take whatever you hear in this on create and actually insert it into the program that's looping into the background. So page down a little bit more, please. And here's an on start. Does this sound familiar? Page down a little bit more. On restart, on resume, on pause. Page down a little bit more, please. On stop, on destroy. Those sound familiar? Those are the 7 that we had before. So what it does, the program in here, as it's looping in the background, the program starts, it finds an override, and then it inserts the code into the program and then brings it out, and then the program loops on. And if you run it again, it inserts into the program again, and it loops on. And then again, if you run it, it inserts in and loops on. Then let's go to activity B. So double click on this one. Okay, and see how it's putting it up on top here? In addition, this looks very much like Eclipse, but these up here, this is a whole new navigation line that they've decided that we want. Am I standing in your way, Fred? You can see it? It's bright. Why do I keep hearing ducks? This is like a, okay, it sounds like a Far Side cartoon. I'm thinking something's going to happen here. All right, now the same thing here. Here's your class. Page down a little bit. Here's your on create. Page down a little bit more. Here's your on start, on restart. Page down a little bit more. On resume, on pause, and the last one's going to be destroy. Sound familiar? So you have it you have the program looping. It takes it from the activity, throws it in, brings it out. The program continues to loop. And this is thousands of times per second, of course. It puts it in, takes it out, executes it, puts it in, executes it, takes it out. Let's go to the next one, activity C.java. Okay, and let's go to the top of this one. Click on the plus next to import again, please. Good. You'll see, page up just a bit. You'll see that there's a package. It has the class. Now cut page down. And you'll see on create, keep going, and on start, keep going, on restart, resume, stop, and the last one is altogether destroy. Good deal. Now, let's go a little bit further. Page down a little bit more. Now, here's something. Notice it doesn't have override. Here's a regular method, public void start dialog. That's a user created or programmer created, sorry. It's a programmer created bit of code that says, okay, do something here. Pass a parameter. It's a type of view, and it's called V. Page down a little bit more. And another one, start activity A, start activity B, and page down a little bit more, start activity C. So we have activity C can go over and start activity A. Activity C can start activity B. Activity C can also finish activity C. So the activities can call each other. Within each activity, it can have overrides and it can have standard methods. Seem pretty clear? Seem clear? Okay. We've broken it down pretty good. Okay, let's see if we can page down a little bit more. And that's okay. Let's go to this next one, dialog activity.java. It's a standard Java program, but as we've seen, it can have, let's go down, an override. Look, this one only has onCreate. Now, there are 7 different kinds of overrides. What's wrong? Okay, so there are 7 different kinds of overrides in every activity. You don't have to. Here's an example of where we created just one override in one activity. So that one had 7, that one had 7, that one had 7, plus it had other ones. This one only has 1, and it has something else. So we've seen a little bit of variance here. You can have all the activities, you can have none of the activities, you can have all the overrides, you can have none of the overrides, or some of the overrides, plus you can mix it in with standard. That's it. Okay, good. All right, now it gets harder. This is the standard Java part. What comes next, let's close some of these because they'll make it a little hard to see. So X on that one, X on that one, and X on that one, and one more X on that one. Good, okay. Now let's go into the Android manifest. The Android manifest, and page up to the top, the Android manifest is basically parameters for running the Android program. Let's go down here, page down a little bit more. Yeah. One of the things that it does a lot of is versioning. Versions of the Android development kit. You can have versions of Java. You can tell it can only run on Java 8. You can tell it can only run on Java 9. You can tell it that can only run on a Java level greater than 7. The same with the different, go down a little bit more. And one more, a little bit more. Okay, this one doesn't have any. So those were my notes, examples. You have different levels of basically everything within, and you can use a combination that says you must run with this level and must be greater than this level or must be less than that level. So it works out really well when you issue a new app. You tell people you got to have, you know, a level of Java greater than 7. You have to have a level of Android greater than 5. My car with Android level 4 isn't going to run this app. Okay, then what they do, the Android activity, notice, remember these, activity A, activity B, activity C. Here we've named activity A, where'd A go? We lost A? That's got to be up there somewhere. Go up a little bit more. There, activity A. Okay, so activity A is named, activity B is named, activity C is named, digital or dialogue activity is named. All four are named. These don't have any parameters with it. This has some parameters with it. If they're not in the manifest file, the program can't find it, even if you have it linked here. That's, you know, when something doesn't work right, look at the manifest first. All right, let's look at the next one. Ant properties. Ant is, come on, everybody's used Ant, right? No, okay. You can set up, Ant is a fairly popular open source product, and if you need to use Ant, you can set something up here. So close Ant, if you would, close Ant manifest. And let's go into build properties. Double click on that. And this one has a class path. I guess this is sort of a Windows thing, isn't it? I guess other Linux has something similar. Now this tells it where to go find something. So this says find it in /extras/android/support. Okay, let's go into build.xml. These are build parameters. You can set up a variety of things there. This one I didn't need it because there wasn't anything in this program. And oh, I did have something. Okay. 101 course. All right, default properties. I don't think I have any defaults in here. Okay, this says my target audience is Android 8. Okay, local properties. The SDK, software development kit, is /users/whatever/blah blah blah. Extendable class path is something. Each one of these has a very particular use, and you have to know where it is, and you have to know where to put it. The documentation on this is quite extensive, so I don't want to go into real detail on it. Just say that there are a lot of parameters, and they have to be used properly. Okay, the next one, ProGuard. I don't have any idea where this came from. This is brand new, I think. I've never seen it before. I just saw it in this program I got off Android today, and I haven't really looked at what it is, but it isn't anything I've used. Okay, close these guys. X on these four. And one more. Okay, so project properties. Double click on that one. And this says, okay, my target audience is Android number 14, level 14. All right, everybody got this? Because it's pretty simple, but there's so many parameters in here that it can get complex. If you forget just one or two, your program isn't going to run right. You need to go back and make it work. All right, so what I wanted to do next was actually get somebody to develop a little quick. I don't want to do it on mine because my computer has been so overused. I want to actually get one to develop. Okay, well, let's do this. Let's make this a workshop over the next couple days. If anybody comes up with an Android test program, we'll bring it in and we'll make it work. Okay, that sound interesting? That's what I thought when Kristen and I talked about this. We were going to do this over a couple of days. So, good? Yeah, basically.
I was wondering when you have all these different properties.
Mm-hmm.
And now the questions.
Yes, great.
So I was wondering, when you have all these properties, do you have some kind of template you can generally set?
I copy everything from past programs. You know, program A that I worked on 3 weeks ago is going to be sort of like program B that I'm working on today. So I copy and paste a little bit from here and a little bit from there. If you create a program, it'll just have 7 overrides in it. It'll have a property. It'll have like 2 include statements. It'll have a class. It'll have override, end.
But the overrides with the Java bits, I was thinking more about all the different properties and build information.
When it builds a sample program, a skeleton program, it includes nothing. So
you will have to learn all those individual pieces to get started.
Not learn them, but perhaps copy them from somewhere.
Fair enough.
Okay, but that's what we do. I mean, when have you ever written a program from absolute scratch? You always cobble something in from some. Oh, I got a little paragraph over here, a little something there. Bring in an include statement. You know, we're not making shoes. We're making copies of shoes each time. You know. That make sense? Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Any further questions? Should we give Ed and Jacob a hand? Thank you.
Okay, but if you want to bring in, we're here all week. You know, we can actually develop something and make it work. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, we copy. Yeah. What do you use?
That's me in my cave.
Mm-hmm.
But in my cave, well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
what I had hoped that an IDE would give you is if you say I need a target Android minimum version, that's my test device, Java minimum version, it would give you the environment.
Okay.
At least be functional.
No, okay. Yes. Okay, you've seen all the advertisement for Java. Java runs on billions of devices across the world. When you update your bank ID, or what do you guys call it, an MID, you know, that when you update your version of Java, it tells you, you know, Java runs on 8.5 billion items, and it runs on all these devices, but it doesn't run on all these devices well. Okay, so what you have to do when you create this program, you run the program, and it works fine on your little computer here. But then I show my pad. Okay, I have a device that's this big, but I also have a Nexus pad that's this big, and I also have a Google TV that's this big. If you compile the program once, and you compile it, it asks you what object do you want to compile it to, what size basically you predefine it. So if I compile my program for this size, it's going to look just like this on my Google TV. So yes, it will run, you know, and that's what Java says. Or that's what Oracle says, that, or Sun Microsystem says, that Java does run on all these billions of devices, but it doesn't run on all these devices. So what you have to do, and what we do, we have about a dozen standard sizes that we compile for, and we keep statistics on who's using our apps and what size device they have, what size screen they have, whether it's an HD display on it. And we take about the top dozen, and when we compile a new version for Google, we put out a dozen different versions of that load module, of the did I use an old word there? Of that object. We put out a dozen with different sizes. So we've got a small version, a medium version, and a super large version. So when someone goes to download it out of the Play Store, it knows, I mean, when you go to the Play Store, it knows what device you have. It goes out and it finds which object that we've created which best matches your device. So it's not perfect. I mean, it's remember back in the days of green screens? Everybody? Green screens? We had little green screens, we had big green screens, we had little orange screens, and we had big color screens that, you know, you had to get 4 friends to pick up and bring it in. Well, you had to compile programs for those too, whether it was 80 columns wide or 132 columns wide. So we've made a complete circle here. We've gone back to the 1960s, and we've said, okay, if you have a little green screen, we compile it this way. And if you have a big green screen, you compile it this way. If you have a little Android, we compile it this way. A medium-sized Android, we compile it this way. And a big-sized Android, we compile it that way. Does that sound not very automated? It's the truth.
Yeah,
Please. Yes.
when you're making a modern homepage with JavaScript, you try to make it responsive, so it changes where the buttons are. Is that possible in Android that it moves according to the size, or do you in the code say if it's this size the button will be
We
here?
have tried that. We have really tried that, and that's just not how it's done. They compile it for the different. They compile it for the different sizes, and what they have within Android development here, within sorry, I have to use the right word. Within Android Studio now, they have something called virtual devices, where you can define a virtual device that is my next 7 pad, and it's going to be this big, and so what you do is you try it out on the virtual device, then you download it and try it out on the device. And yeah, we've tried to do that. We've tried to, even on our website, we have a regular version for, web version, and we have a mobile version. Some people are trying for a little bit more than that. You can't code around it. CSS is not perfect. So what you got to do is you got to get it close, and then you can do little adjustments. Not what you were hoping for, huh? But that is how it works. Okay, please, come on, throw it out. Yeah, please.
In the manifest, you could set minimum target both for Android and for Java. As an end user, you are not confronted with Java versions. Are they following the Android version, or how? If you jump from the user side to the developer side?
It depends. It depends how you do it. It's all depending on how you develop it. There was a point where we switched from Java 7 to Java 8. And we had to tell people, we keep statistics on it all the time. We find out how many people are using Java 8 and how many people are using Java 7. How many people are using which browser even. We keep track of that. You wouldn't believe how many people use Opera. Where the hell is that, by the way? Who still keeps using Opera as a browser? But yeah, exactly. We still have people that do that, but we still have people using Java 6. And there's a point where we just have to draw the line and say our app is not going to work on Java 6. Microsoft's done it millions of times. They say, that's and then suddenly someone who knows the one guy who knows that language goes away. It's the same with Swift on the iOS side. Good.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys very much. Good
Thank you very
questions. Yeah. Sorry I didn't give better answers, but